this shit beast.
Tell me about it, bro.
This shit hot right here.
Hey. Law wants to hop in.
Yeah, tell me what's up. Let's go.
Word. Yo, you know what this song's inspired by? I got that Through the Wire from Kanye West, greatest beat of all time.
Oh yeah. Oh, you got Through the Wire on here that's royalty free.
No. This beat right here is inspired by.
Oh yeah, that's what it feels like too. Yeah, it feels like something like that.
Yo, I'm about to text you something to clear. I actually saying I'm here.
I didn't hear what you said, bro.
I said I'm about to text you something. I can't say it on here though.
All right, bet. Facts.
Hey, Wall's coming in the building.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Akoye and Beat for March 4th, 2024. You know it's the Cowboys offseason. We got a lot to talk about. There's never a dull moment with this football team. Akoye, what it do, bro?
Oh, what's good with you, man?
Hey,
I
man,
just told him. I said that dramatic intro you got going on got me like feeling like I'm about to be Jon Snow hopping off a dragon or something. Pause. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
I was crazy. I was like, damn, if I was on cocaine right now, excuse my French.
Bro, I tried to add like an NFL Films type of like dynamic to the intro, right. And then I had to add the Chris Jericho at the end.
Yeah, that was dramatic, man.
I got it. You know what? My intro can't beat out the final word intro. You know what I'm saying?
No, that one's I will say I like the final word, intro, but I don't know, man. Shout out to my man Boss, but I ain't never vibed out like that jumping on the show, so I think you won that one. From my standpoint, from one vibe to another, you know what I mean?
Hey, you talking about his intro, Boss Cowboys intro?
Yeah.
His intro is fire, bro.
I like Bosses too, though. Yeah, but nah. What's good, Dwayne Brown? What's good, T Mac, Troy Dudley? Got some people on my side.
Oh, word. Yeah, I see.
And get those likes up, definitely. Yeah.
I see D.A. Lee in here. I you know what I'm saying? I see him on Twitter a lot. I like his content.
Yeah.
So, bro, we got
Man.
a lot to talk about, man.
Oh man, yeah, I've been on vacation for a minute, so this is like a good Jeopardy type moment. So I can one, based off the questions, I'll know certain things that are going on in the league, and then give you a got really hot takes. You know what I'm saying? And we go from there. But it should make for good conversation. So I'm excited to be on here, man.
Oh, you already know what it is, man. You already know what it is. I had like a Project X type of night the other night, but you know what I'm
Oh
saying?
man,
We had our stories about that. You know what I'm saying? I can't
yeah,
bring that to the airwaves, but yeah.
you a crazy boy, man.
Bro, that's hilarious. All right, so we got to talk about Tyron Smith, man.
Yeah,
Reported the other day by Ian Rappaport that
right.
there's a very high likelihood that Tyron Smith will most likely be on another team next year.
Mm,
So, immediate thoughts to me,
mm,
obviously, this isn't the way I want this to go.
right.
I just think that there's more needs on this football team that I would prefer to address. Obviously, now that's the one of the biggest needs to some people, but I don't think it's the end of the world per se, due to the fact that we have Tyler Smith on the team and we've seen him play really good left tackle snaps for you his rookie season. So
Right.
if I'm Jerry, immediately, like, he should have already said this, if honestly, not right now, but if Tyron does decide to go on and leave the team, if I'm him, I say, hey, look, Tyler Smith played left tackle for us his rookie season. He
Mm,
showed us some real promise, and that's an avenue that we might be exploring, only because now teams are going to know, hey, the Cowboys are going to look to draft a tackle. So now teams behind you that are tackle hungry are going to say, yo, we got to get out in front of the Cowboys if we want to, get this tackle that we really like. So to me, that's just off the rip what I would do. But I don't think this is the end of the world because, again, like I said, Tyler showed some promise for you his rookie season at left tackle. TJ Bash showed some promise as well. To be honest with you, I was looking at potentially drafting a center in
mm,
the first round, but
mm,
that doesn't look likely if you have to use that for a tackle. But
right.
what do you think about this, bro?
I mean, it does like, raise some hair on your back when you think about the stability of the line. It seems so stable because you can say, hey, we're, depending on where these guys land, Biadasz, and then these young guys that are developing, you got Bass that I think can play some left guard for you if he has to, and Tyler gets pushed out. When you look at how stable the line seems, it does feel less comfortable with Tyron, probably or possibly not going to be here. But this day was coming, at some point. So, we watched what Tyler, like you said, we watched what he was able to do at left tackle. And I think that Bass has showed me that he's evil enough to play guard. I also think that Tyler Smith is better at guard than he is at left tackle, personally. But if he's gonna play left tackle, now's the time. So if we're gonna do it now, or you're not gonna do it at all. And when you have a log jam at guard between him and Bass, where you feel like both can give you some good reps, why not take Tyler this early in the off season and try to make that transition so that he can be prepared for this upcoming season? And when you watch what we did with like Chume Doga and the little musical chairs game we played over there last year, you got other options as well where we watched a kid and still like develop fast as an undrafted free agent, right? When you look at Austin Richards, I think people kind of forget that we got him last year, and we haven't had a bad track record with developing offensive line talent as of late. So we don't know what we're going to get from Austin. We don't know, what we're going to get as far as the position flex from Tyler. So I think both are interesting pieces, but not as scary if you really dissect it. You know what I mean? It's not as scary as it might be, and you might still be right with the prospects of going after a center instead of putting left tackle at a high commodity. You know what I'm saying? So you don't know how it's going to shake out. That's how I think they're looking at it. I think what Cowboys fans, and not to be super duper long winded, which it already is, but
No, 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 you're straight.
most Cowboys fans are looking at it like they keep hanging on the idea of all in, right? So they're looking at that like, is that an all in move? And I think just like anything else, that's based on your perception. The way Jerry and those guys are looking at it, I don't think they were ever going to jump out in free agency and go crazy. And I think that when you look at the way they have structured the offense, especially over the last Other than Amari Cooper, over the last 8 to 10 years, 8 years, should I say, they've made great moves offensively. I haven't. We've had a good offense almost every year, and we're a team that went 12-5 3 years in a row. So they are doing something right now. I agree with Steven when he said postseason is what you should be worried about.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And like, here's the thing, right? I think that one of the best offensive lines that we've seen over the past 5-10 years or so was that 2022 Eagles offensive line. And when you look at that offensive line, right? Seventh round draft pick at left tackle, second round left guard, sixth round center. I don't even know where they drafted Sumawu, but then first round pick at right tackle. So, to me,
Go ahead.
I think that the Cowboys should probably look. I wish that the Cowboys were better at hitting on some of their later round picks on the offensive line. Now, don't get it twisted. Like, for what Terrence Steele was, an undrafted free agent who came in as raw as he did, and Terrence Steele deserved that contract because he showed some real promise for this football team. But outside of that, over the past 5 years or so, there really hasn't been much talent developed in the later rounds when it comes to the offensive line. And I think that TJ Bass can be a guy for this team.
Right.
And like, there's a reason why they drafted Akeem Richards, because they think that this guy has some traits that could translate into being, a very high level left tackle.
Right.
So if I'm the Cowboys, I'm looking at this and saying, like, hey, if there's a tackle that falls to us there, that's great. But I'm going into this offseason saying, all right, let's see what TJ Bass looks like at left guard. Let's see what Akeem Richards looks like at left tackle, and then go from there. And then if Akeem Richards looks good at left tackle, you keep Tyler at guard. If TJ Bass looks better at guard, move Tyler to tackle.
Pretty much. I agree with that. It's not as, like I said, it's not as scary as it may sound. We have a very deep, one of the deepest offensive line groups in the league. We had a starting five. Then we had TJ Bass. We have Awesome, that was sort of like a red shirt last year. We had Chume, who people were pissed off with about 2 games, who's average, but good enough to play. And then you had Hoffman as well, who played well and gave you some quality reps. So you got a lot there that you can build off of and you can do some things with. A lot of teams don't even have that. You know what I mean? They're like doing patchwork there because they've spent so much money in certain areas on that line. They'll have like one main guy and then a couple of guys in between that and another guy. You know what I mean? It's like that, where we had good balance throughout, I think.
And I tried to tell people when Tyron went down in 2022, right? I said that, like, when they moved Tyler to left tackle, they had McGovern at left guard, Biotic, Martin Steele. I said that it's still one of the better offensive lines in football, and I don't think people understand that there are a lot of bad offensive lines in football, which is the reason why I said that. You know what I'm saying? And I look at a team like Miami. Miami didn't have a really good offensive line this past year. Actually, their offensive line wasn't that good at all. And they were still able to run the football effectively. Why? Because they had a great scheme. Like, they were up there when it came to rushing yards and yards per attempt and stuff like that. And it's not one of those situations to where, like, the Ravens are a team that's at the top of the league when it comes to rushing yards because Lamar runs for so many damn yards. This is a situation to where, no, they're up there with some of the best rushing teams in football because they have a real good run scheme and their running backs are doing work for that team, because Tua is not providing you anything on the ground. So like, when I look at a situation like that, I'm like, all right, I think we could do some better work with the run scheme. And if Mike McCarthy gets in, to the lab this offseason, which I think he will, I think the run scheme will be more improved come this season. And if he can do that, I think, like, personnel wise, the offensive line might not be as good as it was last year, but you might get better results because, the why is a lot better than it was the previous season.
Understood. Yeah, and I feel that when you talked about McCarthy earlier, and I feel that a lot of his successes and his ability to sort of be that mastermind. You always get these guys who are supposed to be like offensive geniuses and masterminds and so on. You got your Grudens, who's respected. You have your guys like McVay, Shanahan. We hear all these offenses that are like top notch. Even we even have Kellen Moore being talked about like he's the guy offensively, right? But when you look at track record, like Pepsi, like a brand, right? Mike McCarthy has a hell of a brand offensively. So I think he will figure it out as far as the running game, like you said. But I think it's more so going to be allowing Schottenheimer to instill some of his stuff that he did in Seattle, which we didn't see a lot of here. I think you'll get that. And then also Styles having a back that wants to look for contact and is built that way. I think finding somebody like that is going to be important for him. But as far as the rest of the offense is concerned, Mike McCarthy in Green Bay, you can remember all of the sort of like musical chairs they played with offensive line during his stint there. He's always been good at developing offensive line due to the fact that he wants to get the ball out fast, and he's developed the hell out of every quarterback that he's ever worked with. So I think they'll figure it out offensively. I'm not afraid because I trust the guys who are building this team. And I think they have the answers. Otherwise, Tyron wouldn't be the answer. You know what I'm saying? This wouldn't be a move that they'd be willing to make or willing to deal with had they not felt they saw enough to work with. You know what I mean?
And here's the thing, right? I think that a lot of fans are jumping on the front office for this decision, yet like we don't know the specifics. What if his agent went in there and said, "Hey, we want a 3-year, $60 million deal. Are you willing to pay that?" Like, because
there's the problem, bro. Because the opportunity cost when you're talking about economics is like the opportunity that you couldn't take. What did it cost you, or what would it have been? And most people don't get to hear that when they're thinking about back end deals and so on. So you don't, like you said, you don't know what he asked for. That's one, and then two, we still haven't seen what they mean when it comes to all. And like I said, I think that the Cowboys have shown that they can develop offensive linemen. When you look at Steele being an undrafted free agent and doing what he did, I don't think that they're a group that is getting enough credit for being 12-5 3 times in a row. Like, I don't think they're getting that. And I don't think Mike McCarthy gets enough respect for what he's able to do. Like, I think that Dak has now started to show, well, he's shown some of the best work I've seen on film this season. And I think every quarterback that he's coached has done the same, down to Aaron Brooks. So I'm not afraid when it comes to offense. I think that Tyron will be missed emotionally. I don't think it'll be such physically.
Well, like my question to that is, obviously Tyron is a presence in the locker room. Do you think he's a locker room leader? That, like, obviously we're not in the locker room, but there's a difference between being a really good all-time great player and being a great leader. Like, Tyron never really struck me as that. Maybe it's because I'm not in the locker room, but I don't know. He just never really struck me as that.
I mean, you never know, but at the end of the day, when you look at a Tyron or a Zach Martin, I mean, you can't keep them together forever. But when you look at Tyron, he's a leader just from the way he prepares and the way he fights and bounces back. Like, there's a lot that happened to him in his career injury wise, where some guys just don't even bother. You know what I mean? He's a resilient guy that, definitely reminds me a lot of Sean Lee, where he's going to keep fighting. If he's available, he's going to give you everything he got until he ain't got nothing. So I respect anybody, Witten included, Dez, those guys that bleed blue, Tyron Smith included. So I have nothing, really crazy to say about his leadership ability, because that in itself is leadership. It doesn't matter if he's speaking. It's like his ability to prepare as a professional consistently definitely is rubbing off on the guys who want to be as successful or more that are behind them in that locker room.
Yeah, no. True. That's a good point. Yeah, because like, here's the thing though, like, because I'm not going to fry the front office when it comes to this Tyron situation or with the all-in situation until I see the results, right? Because nothing is done until it's done, right? They can come out and say, yeah, this is what we meant by all-in. And, maybe I'm thinking optimistically, which, I mean, I don't know. I've been pretty pessimistic about this team this offseason. But, just because they're saying like, yeah, we're not going to go all in, maybe that might be the front office saying like, yo, you need to walk back those comments because now the rest of the rest of the league knows what the
Sorry
approach
about
that
that.
we're going to take this offseason.
Right.
So, you know, I gotta wait and see, and I gotta see the results before, 2 weeks from now, if they're not signing anybody to make their team better, I'm gonna fry this front office. And if I hear like Tyron Smith goes somewhere for a
Right.
team friendly type of deal, I'm
Right.
gonna fry the front office. And I
Well,
got
well, you have to look at it like this. Like, if you want to keep getting what you already had, you keep doing what you already did, right? We
yeah,
are a team with a history of creating log jams at positions with guys who are oft injured. Sean Lee, you know, we had guys like obviously Tyron Smith, LV, Jalen even at times. So it's like we have guys, or Randy Gregory, who's here for a long time. We
mm,
have guys who like take up space and attention and curiosity and also potential on this team where they get looks more than guys who maybe even more not deserving but need of development, right? So if Tyron's not here, those extra reps are going to somebody who will have to get up to speed. Are they going to be better than Tyron? No, you got the same feeling you felt when you had to get rid of DeMarcus Ware or Emmett Smith or any of these guys. Like, are they going to be better? Probably not. But you still got to do it. You know, and I think that's going to come for even Larry Allen. It had to happen with him. So I think that's going to come for all of them. I wish he would have retired a Cowboy, but I think that the injuries make you think like, okay, should we try somebody who can be, more consistent? Would you take a consistent B minus or A plus that's only available 3 games where the
mm,
B minus can't get ready because he's not getting those A plus reps, So now he's like
mm.
constantly a log jam in training camp and in the off season with Tyron taking most of that work or most of that attention, depending on how you guys, how you prepare those guys, right? So that's why you don't see certain guys develop. You know what I mean? They're sitting on the bench behind guys who probably need to go.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And wait, bro, have you dove into the running back class yet for the draft?
You talking about them being booed at the combine? Like what part of
No,
the?
no, no. Just like, did
You
you
mean
watch
class or clash? You said clash.
class? Yeah,
No, I
class.
haven't. I haven't looked at the combine. I heard the running backs were showing off with the wide receivers as well. Though, that guys like running crazy 40 times. That was all over the weekend though, including my guy Peyton Wilson. Man, everybody was running crazy numbers this week. Yeah, I told you
Bro,
I was in Colombia, so I went to Colombia and then I went to Cali. So I've been moving around the world lately.
bro, I think a great addition to this team would be if the Cowboys drafted Audric Estime, running
Hmm.
back from Notre Dame.
Hmm.
I just like his style, man. Like, when I mean big, he's not like tall. He's like 5'9", 5'10", but he's compact as hell,
Yeah,
hard to bring down, physical as shit, man.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
really
Frank
what.
Gore type of back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He's not
Hmm.
like he's not the type of guy that's going to break one really often, but at the same time, just a consistent 3-4 yard type of guy, and he's going to wear down a defense. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, a lot of what we were missing with Ezekiel Elliott this year, I think
Right.
that he'd be able to replace that. And I
Right.
don't know, man. I really like drafting from Notre Dame just
Hmm.
because, you know, it's a school that coaches their kids really well, high
Hmm.
character guys.
Yeah.
Um, some of my favorite players in the league right now are from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So it's a school that I like to draft from.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I also agree that having a battering ram style is more suited for not only this team, but when you look at Schottenheimer and Scolari, their history in Seattle, they just shoot running backs out like bullets. You know what I mean? They like a bunch of tough one cut guys, and they just run them at the line. That's it. We had that in Rico, I think, and I think we were kind of trying to get something going with TP, but TP's not that same style guy. He's a guy. It's funny that he didn't look quite like himself. And you got to ask, was it the injury or was it the new scheme? And is this scheme just not suited for a back like you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to ask both. But I think that when you looked at Rico's tape and when you looked at sort of the eye test when he got on the screen, it was like when he ran the ball, it's like we were attacking the defense. when TP ran the ball, it was more so looking for crevices, but it wasn't an attack. He kind of got it together in Carolina, but and then from there he was better, but it still wasn't a punishing style. And I think that's what we need. And if we do that by committee, I'm fine with that. But if we find that guy that's from that like you said, Ezekiel Elliott, Eddie George type of ilk where he wants the ball and he has an accumulative effect on the defense, I'm happy with that too.
Yeah, because Blake Corum is a name that's going around, but
I like Blake. I like
yeah,
Blake.
I like him as well. But the thing is, he's got a lot of carries on his body from
Right.
Michigan,
Right.
and yeah, I don't want to draft any more Michigan players. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. I want to look at Estime's carries. So over the course of his career, he had 210 carries this past season, 156 last year, and then 7 the year before that. So
Fresh.
Fresh coming into the league. So like when it comes to the draft, one thing that I like about this running back class a lot is that, there's not really a bell cow type of back to where it's like, all right, we're going to give this guy the ball 25, 30 times type of character, but there's not many of them in the NFL really anymore.
Really.
There's not like a standout, definitive, clear-cut number one running back, top or, mid to late first round type of guy. But there's a lot of really good complementary backs in this draft. And depending on where the Cowboys go, because I actually do think they're going to sign a running back in free agency. And what is the style of running back that you're going to get? Are you going to bring back TP? Like me personally, if it's for the right price, I'm not opposed to it. But they just have to have a plan, right? Like, all right, we re-signed TP. Now our plan going into the draft is we want to get a running back that complements him. And I think that there's a few guys that can do that. 2 guys in particular, one talked about with Estime, and 2, I know I showed you the tape where he fumbled like twice in the game.
Oh man, as soon as you showed me this guy, I think he fumbled every snap that I watched. I said, you picked the wrong game, bro. That was crazy.
Hey, look.
That was crazy. And the fact that it was random. Yeah.
The guy said it, Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. So one of
Yeah.
those 2 guys I think would complement TP. And then I think there's 2 other guys that if we were to add, let's just say hypothetically,
right,
a running back like Derrick Henry type. There's backs in this draft that complement him as well, right? Like Bucky Irving from Oregon, bro. Bucky Irving, I think he's like, you draft him, you get like early Tony Pollard type stuff from him, man.
True, and that's why when you say let's bring a Tony Pollard back, when you have speed out there at running back, guys that can change the tone of a game, I think you try that because I was waiting for Tony to show me some sort of spark from the years prior, and I didn't see it, not in one game. I don't think he became a different style back suddenly last year, and I think it took him a while to get in shape. But I don't want to wait another year to see if that was a fluke or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people who say don't bring him back at all, but again, it becomes a log jam situation like the devil you know versus the one you don't. And I know what Tony's going to give us. He had that 62-yard play that was really a fluky play in the Rams game, but that's it. He didn't have a lot of big playability, and he's not a bell cow or a short yardage guy. We remember that from the Miami game where he decides, hey, I'm going to pull a Zeke and I'm going to run right at you and not make it with inches. You know what I mean? So, we saw what happened right after that with Hunter. So looking at Tony Pollard, I've seen enough. I'm ready for another running back. And the reason I say that is because when you have a guy that's not the guy here, that running back room instantly gets competitive. And all those guys are just trying to do their best when they get their snaps, like Rico was. I want a bunch of guys with the heart of a Rico, with different styles and different capabilities playing. And I think by committee you get that because you'll probably get more carries to Hunter. You'll get him more involved in the offense. You have Rico, and then whoever you draft, you do it that way. I'm not really for the big name back or Henry right now because I don't look at Henry as a guy that's like, to me, the back that we need. I think even when you draft or sign Henry, you still have another problem because you're still going to want that big play running back, which he's not. And I don't want a big body, short yardage style bruiser solely. Like what's his name? Shavanov. I forgot his name. The kid from Seattle. They drafted last year. What's his name? Chanel.
Zach Charbonnet.
Charbonnet. There you go. Like Charbonnet still has a little burst though, but it's like he's like a Latavius Murray type back. I don't want that type of guy. I want a guy that like can give you a little bit more of a dynamic running style.
All right, I got this running back to show you, and I promise you, it's going to be a complete 180 from what I showed you previously.
Are you gonna show me Allen again?
No.
Oh, about to say he's gonna have what he's running out for running routes now. They got him at tight end probably by now.
I'm trying to find this share screen. Oh, here we go. All right, first play. Let's see. Hold up. Here we go. I like him, man. Not just because of that one play. I just like his running style. I really do. So now if I'm the agent and I'm showing you the tape, I'm like, yo, man, look at my guy now. You know what I'm saying? We're not fumbling anymore. We're not showing fumbles anymore. We upgraded. No, I like, to be honest with you, I definitely see where you're coming from. And signing a free agent running back, one problem that I would have with that is, who's getting a lot of these carries. You just see that play you made there?
Yep. Hold on a second.
Never mind. Never mind. He's 0. What up? Yeah. I mean, that's one of the guys that I really like that I would look at. He's probably in that 4th to 5th round range, but the problem is Cowboys wanted to be stupid and trade for Trey Lance, a guy that they're not even using right now.
I mean, that's not the dumbest move when you look at.
No, it's not.
Because it's like, okay, you got a guy who you can kind of Aaron Rodgers, let him sit, watch Dak, and for those who don't like Dak, that's the best insurance you got is letting a young pup with some talent take his time and learn under him, right? So I don't think that was the dumbest move, but yeah, they do need a guy like that. That's that's the thing. Like you kind of hit the nail on the head with that. Like I need a back that he's getting the ball, and you still can't stop it. When we ran the ball successfully with TP, it was like trying to trick you. You don't know we're coming, and then we catch you with something. But when we decided to just get downhill, I don't think they were half as confident about TP. And it's not just TP because obviously the offensive line needed some work too, but TP was still a big part of of that. You know what I mean? I saw some good blocks that were ignored by TP throughout the season, and people, they don't want to look at that, but it's true.
Hey, this guy needs an introduction. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This guy needs all the bells and whistles you can get. You know what I'm saying? Entering the building.
What's good with you, bro?
What's up, man?
Not much, man. What's good with you, bro? What's going on with you, man?
I'm chilling, man. Chilling.
Yeah.
Happy to be back.
Hey, we back on it, man. We back at it, and we back with it, man. We're going to talk about this. So the conversation I heard just jumping in was about, TP. He's not a bell cow.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a guy that you're going to give touches of 25 or more. Hey, nothing wrong with a Nightwing, nothing wrong with a Luigi, nothing wrong with a sidekick, and that's just what he is. He's not the main piece on the dish, and what the Cowboys try to do is make the appetizers the main piece, and some people are satisfied with appetizers, right? And appetizers are really good. Mm-hmm. So the Cowboys, I think that if they do bring back TP, it should be at a bare minimum of a low price in, right? Not a high price in.
Right.
And that should be the aspect of it. Anywhere between $3 to maybe $6 million should be the threshold there.
Right. I think that, when you look at TP, I hear echo too. One of y'all. I'm not sure.
It's on me. 5, 4, 3, 2. Yellow.
Testing. Oh yeah, it's going. When you look at a TP and what he was, not able to do. That's what I was just saying when you jumped on, Law.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel about having a back that, you have to kind of like trick and sneak him in there, you know what I mean, to get the yards that you're looking for. Whereas if he was a guy that was even worth 5-6 mil, like I'm looking for a guy like more on the Mark Ingram scale, or a guy that really could give us not only some mid-tier to big plays, but also the tough yards where we're coming and we need it. You know what I mean? We didn't have that in TP. We had to he needed too much catering, in my opinion, to be the guy. And even
Right.
at less money, he'd still be looked at in camp as that guy.
Is that?
That's what I don't want. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So just go ahead and deal away with it altogether
Yeah.
because of the tone and the presence that he would present. I get all of that, and that is the situation with the Cowboys, though.
Right.
Who else would you bring in? Because you have Snoop Connor, and you have Deuce Vaughn,
Right.
and you have Malik Davis. That's your running back group for right now. So you can draft a kid, but who's going to come in and move in that space with the silver and blue and the star on the side of the helmet? You know how that goes too.
Right. Right.
So the Cowboys, to me personally, they should find that veteran guy to bring in, still draft a guy, and then roll with everything that we have here.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll bring this idea up to you guys. So I'm just thinking here. Would you guys be for maybe the Cowboys drafting a running back in the first, let's just say, obviously not first round, but in that like second to fifth round range, and then, all right, the way we handle this room is you take, let's just say, a Trey Benson or one of those guys. He's your lead guy, and then you go pick up a few undrafted running backs and have them fight for that like number 2 spot, while you also have a guy like Hunter Lipke that I think was underutilized this year.
I forgot about Hunter. See,
How?
jeez, I forgot about Hunter.
He's the one that stands out most.
Yeah. But oh my goodness, man. I still think that we should draft. I think that this running back class, you fall in with a Trey Benson, or if you get the kid, what's his name, from Notre Dame. You were talking about him. Yeah, you fall in with one of those guys, it could be possible within third round. I don't think we have a fourth round draft pick, but I'm looking at that third round draft pick as a possible running back to gain or to get somebody of that kind of caliber, to know that, hey, they're going to share duties with us. Look at what the Seattle Seahawks did. They got a nice group of running backs over there.
Yeah,
man.
It's like that. Like I feel the same way. I think you obviously look at what we have in Rico, who I think is a all-purpose style guy, and then Hunter getting more involved in the offense makes it so that even when you go out there and you grab yourself a rookie, he can still be complimentary. You don't need a guy that has to be the guy.
Right.
You just you get you another Rico style, or you get another home run hitter, one of these kids that just ran 4.3, whatever, and then go that way with it and still move forward from TP. I think moving forward from TP is the move, in my opinion. You gotta do. I don't hate him if he's back, but I think it's better if we move on.
What about Rico? Are you going with him too?
I love what we got from Rico last year in the spurts that we got him. I think that money was playing last year. They wanted to play the money, but I think Rico honestly was the better back of the two last season, if I'm being honest, from the eye test. I still hear echo. I don't know. It's not me, is it? Is it me?
I don't know. I don't hear echo.
Let me mute my
ventriloquist,
Testing.
man. Yeah,
Testing. I still hear it.
You still hear it? Is it only when you talk? Do y'all hear it on
when
your
I'm
end?
talking.
Is when you talking?
Let me see. It's when I'm talking. Yeah.
I didn't mean to mess up the flow, man. I can
you
go
are
if necessary.
good. You here. Let's go. What you talking about?
Yeah.
All right, we all good. I can hear it, but it don't bother me.
Okay. Yeah.
So a conversation that I want to have is, me and Law talked about it the other day. It's Dak Prescott's contract extension, and this is going to be a topic of conversation until the deal is signed, if it is signed. Do you guys buy the notion that, an extension might not get done here?
No.
Go ahead, Akoye. I'm gonna let you jump in
I
on this,
mean,
man. Yeah.
to me, it's like this. Like, where do you go from here if you don't do it? You know what I mean? Like, people really keep talking about it like it's an option, but give me the solutions if you decide that Dak isn't the guy, right? Like, what are you about to do next? And that answer has to be something. When you look at Mike McCarthy, right? And I said this earlier. When you look at his track record with quarterbacks, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, you can say whatever you want about him not being
Right.
a analytics guy, whatever. I'm results oriented, and when you look at Aaron Brooks, Aaron Rodgers, even Joe Montana, guys like Brett Favre and so on, and now Dak Prescott, he's only done one thing. Mike McCarthy's done one thing. He's gotten the best out of
Right.
all of his quarterbacks, and to me, I think you got to take him. I think you got to deal with Dak as is and deal with the enhanced version of him, because last year you got to really think about the fact that Dak was just getting into this new style offense. That was his first year in his offense, and he
Right.
he seemed like he took command for the first time of the entire offense. And now this season, having that experience and continuity, I think you're going to get the best out of Dak. So the conversation about should he or could he not be extended, I think later you're going to pay more. So I think it's best to just do it now rather than wait, because he's going to cost you more later, and you don't have a solution outside of like the things I saw on film from Dak this season. I'm pleased with. You know what I mean? Obviously, we want to win in the postseason, but I'm pleased with what I saw.
Yeah. I look at it. I look at it similarly, man. The problem is if he had the trade clause on his contract, right? Like he can trade him, but he got the no trade clause on his contract. So that paints the Cowboys front office into a corner. Now, I know most people are looking at what the Broncos just did and say, okay, they cut fat and said, okay, they just got rid of. Let me see if I can pull this up all together, because they got rid of
85 mil.
$85 million that they are willing to eat. But Cowboy fans, we are not the same. This is not the same situation here. This
Right.
is not, it's definitely not the same situation here, because if you end up cutting Dak Prescott for $60 million, right? Or for whatever is going to roll over to the next year too for $36 million. If you do all of those things, then all of a sudden what will happen here, ladies and gentlemen, the Broncos, they didn't play like us. They were not 12-5, 12-5, 12-5, right? So that's not the same situation, nor did Dak Prescott played at the level of, and I'm talking about the lower level of Russell Wilson. So it's so many different pieces into this, and I think that Russell Wilson, by him ultimately calling out that front office there, could have caused a ripple and a rift between him and their front office and their plans. So that's why it's two different situations. And a lot of people will cry to say that they want that. And then when you get into the season, you realize that you're not winning games. Then now you're mad, about that. So my thing would be is to absolutely do what's best for this team, and that will be ultimately extend Dak Prescott, take those resources from the money, and go get more and more weapons. But I get it. Most people think that that's what we've been always doing, but Akoye and my guy, Cowboys Beat, we haven't been doing that, dog. We've been sitting on that money.
And here's the thing, right? Like, let's just say, for example, Dak Prescott takes like a $5-10 million pay cut. Like, let's just say, for example, he takes a $5 million average per year pay cut. Like, that's like a backup quarterback. You're not really helping your team out to that extent with that type of pay cut. Like, thinking that he would take a pay cut in and of itself, I think is kind of crazy, because, I mean, we're all adults here, right?
Right.
If we have leverage in this situation, why am I just going to be like, all right, you want to know what? You've drugged me through the mud, all this other stuff. I'm going to let you off the hook here. I'll take a pay cut for you guys. Like, with a lot of these deals, a lot of this is funny money, right? Like the numbers to pay attention to are the cap hits. If his cap hits are somewhere in the $30 million range, like, yeah, you average per year, you're paying him $60 million, but half that money you know what I'm saying? It's not even going against the cap. It's
Right.
Jerry Jones is paying for it. And
Right.
what do we all of a sudden care about Jerry Jones' pocketbook right now? Like, I don't know about you guys. I find it really entertaining what Doc's doing with the Jones family right now. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of fans out there, and I'm talking about the negative anti-Doc, anti-Cowboys type fan.
Right.
Hate the Jones family so much, but then are urging Doc to bend over and take a pay cut for them. I find that to be hilarious.
You can't have it both ways, man. Either the Jones family suck, or Dak Prescott is elite, or the Jones family elite and Dak Prescott sucks. You can't have it both ways, man.
And I don't know about you guys, with some of the quarterbacks that this front office has wanted to pick up when it comes to Paxton Lynch, Connor Cook, Jameel Showers. I mean, you want that front office to pick your next quarterback. An owner who has admitted multiple times that he obsesses over glory holes. Do you want that guy to pick your team quarterback?
I want me some glory hole.
And here's the thing, right? The Broncos are about to take a crazy pay cut for Russell Wilson. Right. And Russell Wilson wasn't even bad this year. He had like 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. They're going to be way worse off without Russell Wilson than they think. So, like, moving on from Dak, you know, we talked about this last week, Law, and
right.
I haven't brought this up to Akoye. When you're a team that has trouble stopping the run, and yet teams don't run the football on you, why do you think that is? It's because the offense is putting up a bunch of points, and they're like, yo, we can't run the football. We have to throw the football.
Right.
And when teams get into that mode, guess what? That unlocks the best part of your football team, which is your pass rush. Right. So because of that, Dak is very, very important to this team's success, because if you have a lot of Dak critics go back to the Cooper Rush 4-1. Okay, that defense.
5-1. You can't shortchange them.
No, I was talking about to start the season last year.
Okay, good.
That defense is playing at an really, really high top of the league type level. Yeah. And the offense that year with Cooper Rush, they were like a bottom ranked offense. They were winning because of their defense. So it's a little different from that perspective. So I don't look at it as move on from Dak. We'll be good because we have the pieces, around the quarterback. Because I mean, I don't think that's the case, but Dak is very important to this team's success, just like any other quarterback. But when I compare him to other quarterbacks in the league and how much he contributes to his team's success, the few quarterbacks that I would put over him are like Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, maybe Lamar. There's not many quarterbacks that contribute to their team's success like Dak Prescott. And I feel like there's a lot of Cowboys fans that don't like Dak, that watch enough football around the league to realize that there's a lot of quarterbacks that are doing way worse than Dak and are actually the reason why their team loses football games.
Well,
I mean, can't argue with your rant, but no, I'm serious. Like, go ahead, Law. You can go first because I have a statement on that.
Well,
like the Dak hate.
The thing is, that's how me and Akoye got to know each other, man. It was Dak Prescott, by the way. That damn Dak Prescott.
Right.
But I would say this, man. The craziest thing that you mentioned, like the Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, even Lamar Jackson to a degree. All of those boys didn't do it by themselves. They still needed someone. And I remember vividly that even Pat Mahomes made it all the way to the Super Bowl, but when that offensive line was in shambles, I mean, he couldn't move the ball. He could only generate 8 to 9 points in that game. So and that was due to some of the things that the defense was able to do to get them down the field. So I would say this, man, and I'm not saying that Dak Prescott and Pat Mahomes the same person. I'm never saying that, hey, this is what Dak Prescott could do in this particular moment, because they're definitely two different throwers of the ball. But let's say this. Pat Mahomes was blessed with an Andy Reid. Is he better? Is he far better than any coach that we had over here in the last 10 to 15 years? Yes. Pat Mahomes this season was blessed with a defense that was able to give scoop and scores, turnovers, takeaways. Chris Jones, I can't. Who would you take over Chris Jones right now on this defensive front, right? So I get it, right? And I know a lot of people say, well, what about Parsons? Well, we had a defensive coordinator that didn't know what to do with Parsons, right? So there's so many things that we can quantify and put into that mixture there. And these are not excuses for Dak Prescott, but these are just facts that people don't want to hear, and they contextualize it as excuses. This team, at the way that they handle and operated this particular front office on how they handle contracts, been the biggest problem with this team, because we paid so much money for D-Law when we didn't have to. Not saying that I wanted him gone, but you franchise tagged him twice and then gave him the big bag. And you did proceed to do the same thing for Dak Prescott. You franchise tagged him twice, and then on the second franchise, you removed it and, of course, gave him that long-term contract. When you franchise a quarterback, that stunts the growth of the that stunts the growth of the money that you can use, and boom, you begin to say, hey, we can't get this, we can't move that, because you already shot yourself in the foot. But go ahead, Akoye.
I mean,
you don't mind if I hop in with something real quick?
Go ahead, hit it.
It's at the top of my mind. See, here's the thing, right? Like, when it comes to, people talking about Dak in the Packers game, like, name me a quarterback in the NFL that was going to win that game with the defense playing the way it was playing. The Packers could have put up 60 points if they wanted to that game. If they really wanted to that game, they could have done that. So my question to people who, are giving Dak a lot of the blame for that game, what did you want? For him to look better in a loss? And to that point,
I like
that point as well, I saw Lamar Jackson against the Houston Texans, which that team wasn't in the same class as the Baltimore Ravens. They had trouble in that first half. Mm-hmm. If the Texans were moving the ball and putting up points like the Packers did in that game, I can tell you this right now, Lamar Jackson would not have been able to win that game for the Ravens.
Not
keeping
even,
it real.
Yeah, not even close. And, I understand that reference. I go into the Packers game and trying to, justify the loss in any way using the defense. I get it, right? But you don't even have to. You really don't have to go that far, because even when you look at what Dak is able to do during a regular season with a Mike McCarthy last season, I'm ready to see more of that. So to act like he's not improving in such a short period of time under yet another offensive coordinator is crazy. Like, Dak has shown promise at every level. And if we're really being honest, the one thing that we haven't given him since he's been on this level, because he's shown us good football under Kellen Moore too. Let's not front. But the only thing we haven't given him during this little run that he's been on, as far as being one of the top tier quarterbacks that we're looking at, he hasn't had the running game that he had when he first came in, and he hasn't had a defense that can just flat out, like you just said with Mahomes, just give you the ball back, give you scoop and scores, be a formidable force. Either the running game and the defense should be formidable forces where we don't have to be in situations for them to be at their peak. They're just that good, like, you know what I mean, where we can run the ball effectively when we want to. We haven't given Dak a strong running game since he's been on this type of ascension. You know what I mean? I think that is important, and I think that will take him to the next level beyond the fact that that defense can be top tier. I think it can be. Right. And if it was, then you're going to get a better Dak, because you're going to get Dak in better situations, which makes Dak better. You know what I mean?
And granted, all three of us are not saying that he went into that game without his blemishes, right? Without his mistakes or something like that. Because I'm seeing people say, hey, man, what about the interception that he threw? Yes, but Pat Mahomes, he had what? 5? The team itself had 5 fumbles. 5 fumbles and an INT.
Right.
And they were still able to lift up that Lombardi trophy.
Right.
Because when they fumbled the ball, they all fought to jump on the ball.
Right.
When they threw the interception, instead of pouting and crying about it, their defense held them to 0 points. And the same thing on the flip side for even the 49ers. CMC fumbled the ball, right? There was a muff on one of the kicks. They didn't fold up. They played to the end of the whistle. Right. They were literally 9 yards away from winning the Super Bowl. So you got to quantify all of those things, ladies and gentlemen. It takes a complete team. But if we want to nitpick and point fingers at everything, then, of course, we will be sitting there looking like, oh, man, CMC blew that game, man. He shouldn't be playing in the National Football League anymore. X, Y, and Z things. So, no, it takes a complete team on both sides of the coin or the field. Go ahead.
Right.
And, hey, I got a question for you guys. When was the last time, like, ever since Dak came back from the really bad injury, when was the last time that, like, the Cowboys just flat out leaned on their run game to go win a football game?
I said this,
The last time I remember was, like, week 3 of 2021 in Carolina where
Zeke went off.
Yeah, where Zeke had a really good game. Like, that is the last time I remember this team, all right, hand the football off, go to work. Like, Josh Allen, when he played us, he didn't have to do much. Aaron Rodgers back in 2022, he didn't have to do much.
Aaron Rodgers, when he played the 49ers his last time in the Green Bay, didn't do much that game either. He had less than 200 yards passing and like 1 touchdown for a back shoulder to Adams. That was about it. The rest of it was all Dillon and Jones. So you're right.
The moment you said that, it made me think of the inverse. Like, look what Josh Allen was able to do against us when we played against the Bills. I mean, when was the last time we ever had a game like that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Oh, he killed us, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he didn't kill us, but the running back did.
I do think so. Here, I'm starting to be, the more removed we are from this playoff game, the more optimistic I'm starting to become about the team. And the main reason why is I feel like this defense under Mike Zimmer will be better this year than under Dan Quinn. I think that his style of defense, it's more consistent to like replicate a certain level of success. And I think you could be consistent like that. And I also think that, me and Akoye were talking about it backstage. I think Dak is going to go crazy this year. I think he's going to go crazy. I think he's going to flirt with 40-plus touchdowns this upcoming season because I can't remember the last time somebody took over an offense, installed a whole new offense, and they were the number 1 offense in football. I can't remember the last time that happened. So
it doesn't happen. That's why, and that's what the problem is. Is like with the respect that McCarthy has still yet to get for what he's done. Is it's the karma is coming back around on that because we look at 12-5 3 straight times as something to like to sneeze at, and it's not. And then also looking at the fact that Dak broke his thumb in last season with Kellen, right? And when he threw all the interceptions, nobody talks about that. And then they don't talk about what type of bounce back year he had with a fully healed hand and a new scheme. And you saw early in the season him kind of trying to get his grips on this playbook. But we saw in glimpses, especially, I always look to the Seattle game and the way he played there, where his ability to be a difference maker was what won that game, in my opinion. Like in certain throws he made in that game were like impressive. That I think in the Rams game, when you look at what Raheem Morris was doing to him, Dak showed me things that are so nuanced that these young quarterbacks just can't do it right now because they're relying on athleticism. Dak is at a different level. Like Aaron Rodgers said, when it comes to reading and assessing what's going on, he makes it harder for you throughout the week because you have to prepare as a defensive coordinator to deal with what Dak is going to bring to the table, or you can come out here in vanilla and get torched because that's what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Hey, I want to bring up this question. So somebody said the panel knows X's and O's better than me. Please explain how we destroy 500 and lower teams struggle to beat just above 500 teams and get dog walked by playoff teams. Serious question. Well, here's the thing. Were the Eagles, I got this. Were the Eagles a playoff team? I get it. They had their struggles late. Were they a playoff team? Yes, they were. The Cowboys beat them. Were the Rams a playoff team? I get it. The Rams weren't the team that they were by the end of the season. I don't care. The Cowboys still win that game. I told people I thought that was going to be a better matchup, the Rams, than the Packers. That's besides the point.
Right.
They beat the Lions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Got to the NFC Championship game. They lost to the 49ers in embarrassing fashion, no doubt about it. They lost to the Bills in embarrassing fashion, no doubt about it. Other than that, they didn't get dog walked by. I mean, the Packers. That's fair, but you know,
can I hit this?
Go ahead.
Listen,
Go ahead.
when you look at that, like the people who are saying that, and I'm glad you said it. I respect the comment, but you're making Dak better when you say that, because when you look at the fact that the only teams that we didn't beat were the teams that you have to play balanced football against. Like Dak is enough to go out there and beat a sub-5 or average team with doing what he's doing. But when we need a team around Dak, it's not there. So you're telling me that Dak is good for 12 games where he can, and some of those against winning teams, but 12 games where he can go out there and just do Dak and win the game as Dak, right? And the 5 games that he needs assistance from the defense or the running game are the games that we actually lose, or the playoff games that we're losing. Because when you look at Mahomes or any quarterback in the playoffs, they played well throughout the season, but in the playoffs, defense was what was really, pulling it out. Those 49ers defense got them to the Super Bowl. Yeah. The defense, Greenlaw was getting interceptions and closing out games throughout every game. The linebackers throughout the playoffs, Barnes in the Lions game, that interception he had. We had Britt in that same game with Tampa Bay that was balling. You had Fred Warner, Greenlaw balling. You had Agent Zero and Smith, Roquan Smith and Queen, and then you had everybody, Gay and Bolton over there in KC. So linebacker play and defense was what really was the difference maker in all those games, including the Super Bowl that went to overtime. So Pat Mahomes needed his defense to win the Super Bowl, right? So in those moments where Dak needed, hey, I need you to do it, because it ain't gonna happen from just me this game. Dak never had that.
What they're trying to say, what they're trying to do is make it a 1 versus 1 sport. Like this is tennis, or this is absolutely like basketball, where you can spread it and go ISO and say, okay, now win the game for me. And this is ultimately not that. I like CJ Stroud. I think that he's going to be a phenomenal player. But what they realize down the stretch, they need a damn run game, right? And I'm quite sure the focus and the emphasis of the offseason will be for the Texans to get them a run game. And that's just the reality. You're going to need a balanced approach team, man. When we played against the Cards, we had no reason to lose that game. But we also had no reason for that opposing team to put up 255 yards on the ground on us, right? For that to be ultimately, hey, this is at the end of the day, this will be the blueprint on how to beat the Cowboys for the 2023 season. And if you look at all of the teams that beat us, they ultimately were able to run the ball with authority at some shape, form, or fashion, or our defensive players were not able to stop the run and gashes and stop those pivotal downs on third downs for those teams to extend drives. So I get it. The quarterback, could he play better in moments? Yes. But at the end of the day, we didn't have a threat of the run, and we couldn't stop the run. And when I'm saying the threat of the run, so many people wanted to fight me and Akoye over Tony Pollard. All we were saying that, hey, just bring in another running back. I get it. The offensive line is porous and trash, but still there was some meat left out there on the bone, and not to reference the other dude that stole cologne and draws and all of that stuff. But I'm saying there was meat out there, man. Come on.
Right. It definitely was.
You guys would be able to speak on this better than me, because you know what I'm saying. I was still in the womb the last time we won a Super Bowl. What do you think of this?
Yeah, Joseph. Go watch
Aikman precise passes and no interceptions, give Cowboys a 13-point lead. Okay.
You guys would know better than me.
I mean,
didn't the Cowboys, like outside of the quarterback, have one of the best teams that has ever been assembled?
Yeah. They're kind of the reason for the salary cap. But when you look at that offensive line and Emmitt Smith having that, like the triplets were called the triplets for a reason. You got Emmitt Smith on your team. It's pick your poison. Are you going to load the box and try to stop Emmitt and let Michael Irvin one-on-one go off on you and cover one? Or are you going to try to cover Irvin and Harper and Novacek and those guys and then let Emmitt kill you because you got light boxes? It was pick your poison, and it worked. So give us that, and then we can talk about Dak not having precise passes. Like if you're able to run play action, Dak can't run play action right now. He can do some draw work from shotgun, but every time he turns his back from under center on this defense, like he gets blown up or it doesn't look good because nobody believes it. Nobody cares. If you're running the ball, they don't care.
And here's the thing though as well, right? Like when you can't run the football effectively, that means you're not wearing down a defense, which actually hurts your passing attack because now those pass rushers, like let's just say, when we talk about the Cowboys, right? Like when teams want to run at Micah Parsons, they're trying to wear him down so he's not as effective as a pass rusher, right? We don't get the benefit of that because we can't wear a team down with our run game. So, all right, now the passing attack has become more complicated because now teams are just like, all right, let's just pin our ears back and let's get this thing going.
Yeah. Akoye, are you familiar with like the Mandela effect, right?
Oh man,
oh my gosh,
I love that type of stuff.
Yeah.
It's true though. It's very true.
It's true. But to a degree, people think that Troy Aikman had multiple MVP seasons, right? All pro. Troy Aikman was all pro. That he led the league in passing touchdowns, and he led the league, and
he was average.
He was, and I'm not saying that Troy. I'm gonna take that away from him, right? Because it just goes back to the argument that this is the ultimate team sport,
right?
And when you got a guy by the name of Emmitt Smith out there, who's to this day, no one got more rushing touchdowns than him. No one got more playoff rushing touchdowns than him. Nobody got more yards than him. And then you had a dynamic on every level. We can talk ball. We can talk tight end. We can talk linebackers.
Defense.
We can talk safeties. We can talk offensive line, defensive line. James Washington. Right. Name, show me the weak spot, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then I can go all the way back to the Roger Staubach days.
Right.
As much as we like to say Staubach got 2 rings or what have you, he had a coach, never had a coach of the kind of caliber of Jason Garrett, right? And for 30 years, Tom Landry coached this team. Hey, we only got 2 rings out of that. So I'm not trying to diminish winning Super Bowls, but it's not easy to do. And then even with Roger, he had a Tony Dorsett. Name me a person that's close to that. And on top of that, he had the Doomsday defense. Name me where the Doomsday, where are you? Where the Doomsday defense at?
When you show me a game where we've won a game because of our defense this season, not an interception because we're up and now the defense is just padding the lead because of Bland getting all those pick sixes and stuff like that because we're up and Dak is kind of like forcing them to throw the ball and be one-dimensional, trying to keep pace with them, right? Show me a game where the defense just like it's even, like the Super Bowl or like that Lions game and so on, like, or the Packers game where the Packers are up and that defense, our defense brought us back in games and won the game. We don't have any game where that happened. And if you just gave us 2 of those, we're 14-3. I mean 14 and what's that? 14-3. If you give us 2 of those games, you know what I'm saying? It's 2. Give us 3, you know what I'm saying? We're 15-2. So it's like that hasn't existed for us. And if we had that at least once or twice a season, our record would be even better. And I think we would probably win in the playoffs if we could just say, hey, Dak, you can lean or hide behind at times what your defense is able to do. We don't have that. We've seen lesser quarterbacks do more with better defenses. So how is this an argument?
Yeah. And one thing that I want to bring up, like when it comes to like, they just beat bad football teams and they just beat average football teams. You know that there are better teams in the league that lose to average or below average football teams. Right. And the fact that is beating a team that's average to below average impressive? No, it's not. No. But when you continue to stack those wins and, beat those teams, I mean, I get it. The Cardinals game was terrible.
Terrible, man.
It was terrible. But, you have to understand that not all these elite teams that are out here are taking care of their business every time that, they're outclassing another opponent. Like they're playing a team that's not in the class of them.
Right? Yeah. And just to say this too, hey guys, I get it, man. The Cowboys, we didn't win the Super Bowl. But there are 31 other teams for damn sure didn't win the Super Bowl as well. And we're not the only ones.
Right.
Yeah, no. And I mean, granted, that's the thing, right? You guys talked about it takes a team. And the fact that, I mean, I get it. There are some really good parts about this Cowboys team. I'm not just trying to make it seem like it's Dak and then it's just a bunch of Jags. Not in the slightest.
No.
But, you know, a lot of this team's identity has to do with Dak, like I talked about. You know, teams can't run the ball to the level that they want to because the Cowboys offense is putting up a ton of points, and they get into passing situations, which unlocks the strength of this defense. So, you know, if we can get to where we're at with a one-dimensional offense and the flaws that we had on our defense, think if we just say, hey, we don't need to go get superstars, but if we upgrade, if we tweak some things with our scheme offensively, more particularly the run scheme, and if we just add some better players than what we had, maybe not superstars, but just better players than what we had in certain areas of the team, man, like we won 12 games. Like, what if we improve the roster that way and make some tweaks that way? And now we could be looking down, hey, maybe we win 13 to 14 games and we don't got to worry about the wild card game because we're going to be at the divisional round before we even play a playoff.
Yeah, man. You know, and if we saying all of this is because we know that we are not light years away, right? We are a few pieces away. You know, you improve this run game, you improve stopping the run, then we have a more of a fighting chance. It's a reason why, you know, the Stone Ages couldn't beat the Iron Age, right? Or the Bronze Age couldn't beat the Stone. Well, you know, it's the reason why, you know, when you start bringing metal into it versus stones. And what we have been saying that, hey, man, instead of using this machine gun, give me the bow and arrow. Give me the slingshot. Nah, man, let's use the machine gun. Right. And then at times when you're close, use the machete. And that's where I'm thinking that even with Mike McCarthy, I know you said don't beat up Mike McCarthy with all of this and that, but I think that even he needed extra help when it get down to these bigger games, someone else to dial it in and say, hey, we need to start motioning a little bit more. We need to do X, Y, and Z. And I think that's why they got this offensive assistant. I guess his name by the name of Simcoe. What's his first name? I forgot his name, y'all. Tip of my tongue. Simcoe. Steve Simcoe. I think that he's going to help out to that degree of just making sure that we have the installments put together so that Mike McCarthy won't have these long stale moments. But y'all go ahead.
I mean, even when he has them, like I said before earlier, in the we were talking. Matter of fact, we were talking backstage about Doc Rivers being a guy and how basketball is like more of a one throat to choke type of sport because the coach is doing offense, defense, setting tempo more so, and the players have more freedom. Whereas with McCarthy, I think he does need help when it comes to other levels. But I don't think that's any different than, Bill Cowher and a Dick LeBeau or Mike Tomlin and Dick LeBeau or, Spagnolia's and because you can't tell me that Andy Reid didn't need Spags in the Super Bowl. If Spags doesn't buy him the time that he bought him by, still dialing it up and playing great defense, we're not talking about how great Andy Reid is as an offensive coordinator because it wasn't offense that won that game. Spags was more of a force in that game than Andy Reid was. And when you're really being honest, guy got fired on the other side of the ball, Wilkes as well. Right. Both the defensive coordinators led that game. It wasn't the two dynamic offenses that we keep talking about. We're in a dynamic quarterback, Brock Purdy MVP or, Mahomes MVP. How? The defenses are what did it, So you can't argue that and then, stand here in front of you and be like, okay, Dak need to, or McCarthy need to do more. It's like, no, we just need some of the other stuff to go with it because they're obviously you don't think that McCarthy's better than Shanahan. People don't think that. They don't think he's better than McVay. They don't think he's better than these, Andy Reid as far as being an offensive guru, right? But those guys needed help, and they're supposed to have elite offensive play calling ability, especially in the playoffs. And other than that 42-point game that they put up on us in the regular season, Shanahan hasn't gone off on us much either. You know what I mean? So even against this defense that we admit the last 2 years weren't even as good as this year, and it still wasn't great. You know what I mean? So how do we ignore that? We can't ignore that. You know what I mean? I think that Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott are enough. Let me see what they can do with their version of a Spags or a Wilkes on the other side of the ball, or a Bones Fossil that doesn't put Slam Williams out there every play. But he had one block punt and 6 penalties on special teams. Like 5, 6
Dog.
penalties on special
And
teams.
should have had another block
Look,
punt.
look. This is what I'm gonna say about Sam Williams,
it's
man.
feast of famine, man.
Yeah, it's feast
It's
of
a
famine.
lot of famine, though.
This is what I'm gonna say about Sam Williams. I know for sure he wanted to get out there on the field.
Yeah,
he wanted to play, and when you want to get out there on the field, you press. And he felt as if though he didn't get enough shots at it. So hopefully, man, this offseason, Akoye, when I talk to him personally, when we jump on that podcast, matter of fact, I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna say, hey, fly in, because we in conversations with his trainer, and I'm not gonna ask some crazy questions. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm gonna look. I know for a fact that he wanted to be out there, and he's pressing. When you got a defensive edge guy being your gunner,
He's
so
trying.
you try to make a play, and I don't fault that kid. He slapped the hell out of Jalen Hurts in that game, and the ball bounced off the ground, bounced right back to him. You're like, damn.
Yeah, and then get taken out in the second half.
Get
of that
taken
game.
out. Yeah.
And I'll say this about Sam Williams, or Slam as well.
Right.
And you guys got to get credit for making that up too. But when you look at him and look at the way he is as a person, that's why a guy like Zimmer and Rex Ryan were attractive to me. Any of those coaches really, Wink too. Any coach that doesn't mind telling his best players, how good they can be and actually pushing them. Because I think Slam Williams is a guy that if you give him more, you will get less of the other stuff from him.
Yeah.
If you just let him. He's an in rhythm guy. He doesn't. I'm like that. If you put me in the ring, you say spar, and I don't spar a lot.
Yeah.
I'm jittery. I'm nervous. I do extra stuff. But once I settle in and stay consistent on it, I'm better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I start and stop a lot, I'm not. It's not the same. And you got fighters that are like that too. They need to be constantly going. I think Sam Williams is the same way. He needs to be like teacher's pet to keep him out of trouble in the off season, and also to get the most out of him on the field. I think Sam Williams is not. Is nowhere near a bust. I think you just got to use that talent. When you have a guy that's 6'3", 270 that runs a 4.4 and still shows you that he can be a gunner, and you can't figure out what to do with this guy. You don't know what to do.
This is what you need to do. You need to have somebody like this at him.
Get your up there, contain the damn ball.
That's
what
it.
we doing. Too many missed tackles. Let's go.
That's a
We're
fact.
too damn soft. I just hate mistakes. I hate mistakes.
You need now.
That's
Come
what
on.
he
You're a trainer, so you already know,
what he
Akoye.
need right
Hey,
there.
boxers got to keep their hands up, man. You see them getting tired. You dropping them hands.
Yeah.
What you gonna yell at them? Keep them hands low. What you gonna be yelling?
Yeah, you got to get on them. It's different with everybody. Like you when you have a guy like D-Law, you probably don't got to say much to him.
Right.
But you got certain guys where you less is more. You give them some attaboys because they kind of like don't know what they are and they go ham. But you got other guys, you curse them out and they give you everything they got. So it's like a measurement. It's like temperature. You got to turn certain things up or down to figure out who you're dealing with. But when you look at Sam Williams, he's a guy that you need. You need to be more like a Parcells was, where it's like you get in another fight. If you lose a fight, you're going home. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. You get in another fight, you lose, you're going home. Or you disrupt my practice one more time. You sit on the bench half the season. What we doing? You know what I mean?
Doing?
You need that type of guy that's just gonna let it be known, like stop playing with me.
Or somebody got asthma. Hey man, what's wrong with that dude? He got asthma. Well, tell him the asthma feel is
The asthma track is in the locker room. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, look at this comment real quick, guys. I think this is funny.
He said Cowboys ran the
More
ball.
excuses for Dak. Hold on. Dak had 340 yards as a rookie against Aaron Rodgers, threw 2 touchdowns to Dez, brought the game back, and we lost the game because Byron Jones let Cooks cook him. At the end of that game. Man. So that's on Dak. Like Aaron Rodgers threw a buzzer beater to Cooks and set them up for a field goal against the defense, and somehow that's Dak's fault. Dak did his job on offense.
Dak's fault,
as a rookie. That was Dak's second best playoff game minus the Tampa Bay game that he killed Tom Brady in. But that was his second best playoff game, was his rookie loss, and that's not a game that he actually lost for us. He played well.
I think he went crazy in that Seattle's game, like stretching out, going over the goal line for that score. He got hit low. And I think, but like you said, yeah, you're right. You're right when you look at the
Hey,
numbers. Yeah,
to be honest with you guys, like talking about Sam Williams, I think Sam Williams has every trait you want in a defensive end. He's not small by any means, right? 6'3", 270.
right.
He's not slow by any means either. He runs that 4.4. Like, he can rush the passer at a very high level. I think he has the potential to be a really good run defender. To me, I think he has a very high ceiling. And the fact that Dan Quinn allowed the linebacker court to be the way it is without allowing Micah to play linebacker was criminal to me.
Criminal, dog.
Oh my, bro. Man. I can't. A 205-pound defensive back play linebacker, and Jordan Love says to him, bro,
we're going to run at him.
Like, he was just like,
man, I'm going to name 4 guys for you, man. Like, you know.
Wanye, go ahead.
No, not even Wanye. I'm not even going to get to that. You just Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, Micah Parsons, and D-Law. You got those guys out there that are on this team. You know what I mean? And you can't figure out how to get them all on the field. And then Rashaan Evans as well. You can get all those guys on the field at the same time. So the conversation that, you know, we needed Micah Parsons to stay on the edge solely for edge rush doesn't make sense when you have 2 other first-round draft pick talent guys in Sam Williams and Dante Fowler, who are also playing at a high enough level. And the reason they don't have 10-plus sacks is because they don't get the reps to get 10-plus sacks, because Rashaan Evans, LVE, and Clark all were lining up while Parsons is out there.
Right.
They're lining up at defensive end or outside linebacker. You know, when we played that 5-1-5, you know, when we had one linebacker, Bell in the middle of the field, and we would flex LV out to the edge or Evans out to the edge or, you know, Clark, whoever it was. But that's a position that's supposed to be for Fowler or Sam Williams. Who would you rather have out there on the edge? I don't want them there. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And it's not like you're covering from there. They're not running out in coverage when they're playing that position. So that's irrelevant. You have a defensive end that's a first-round talent, and you don't use them. You had Evans, who was a first-round talent at middle linebacker. And you don't use him. And then say he can't play, but you didn't use him.
You never played him.
It didn't make any sense. And when you had the same problem over and over again with stopping the run.
Hey, but yet they'll put Donovan Wilson and J-Ron Curse as deep safeties and get cooked.
Man, let me show you guys something real quick, man, because this I got this saved, and this is always like one that drives me.
And while you pulling that up, I just want to say, for the 2023 season, what we learned from this defense, who got the most experience out there, is that Marquise Bell. He can ball, but not at that spot. So if anything, Marquise Bell should be the guy that's going to fill in that voided area for J-Ron Curse when he's gone, or you know, utilize Wanye a little bit more. That's the thing. That's the only thing we learned for 2023.
And when you look at what they did, you know what's criminal is what they did to Izzy Mukuamu, man.
Oh my God!
Izzy Mukuamu.
Real quick, before we get into this, somebody got a super chat.
That was
Packers never stop scoring in the playoffs from Brandy.
Oh, that's facts. Thanks, Brandy.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
That's facts. They didn't stop, and it was too easy, you know, out there. But it was just, you know, when you look at the fact that we could have though stopped the Packers with these types of fronts, like this front right here was working all year whenever we did it, but we were too stubborn. I think Dan Quinn was doing a lot more. I don't know, stubborn and kind of selfish football, in my opinion. And I like Dan Quinn. It's hard for me to even form the words to criticize him because I do like Dan Quinn, but it's true when you see it. Like, if I didn't see this type of stuff on film, and when I put this out here, I look at just the lineup, right? You got a 3-4 look, and you got, you know, Curse in the box right now. And if you watch what Curse, LVE, and Clark are doing in the middle of the field, when we played these types of fronts, and if you imagine, and you know, you got D-Law right now standing up, but he can definitely play with his hand down right here at the end where Chauncey is right now and Osa is. He can do that, and you have Sam Williams and our Fowler also in this same rotation, jumping in here. When you look at this and look at how effective they were at like controlling this 12 personnel up front, it didn't make sense to not do this. Even in the Buffalo game, we ran 48 plays where we out of nickel. And we could do this. We didn't do this at all.
And let them know which side, strong side, for those who don't know.
Strong side's where your tight end is, and
Yep.
that's where D Law is lined up, standing there,
Strong side.
dealing with dealing. Well, actually, that's DA on this play right there. But look at your
Strong.
linebackers again, right here. Your linebackers are still doing nothing, and your front line is able to get there because they're just so vicious up front. But when you got a guy in Sam Williams who played on a 3-3-5 scheme, or in a scheme where he's one of 3 linemen, they didn't really blitz a lot. So for Sam Williams to come out from Ole Miss with 11 and a half, I think 11 and a half, 12 sacks, his senior year or his last year there, it's crazy.
Hey, and let him know.
Yeah.
Let him know of the kind of caliber opponents he went up against too. People fail to realize that.
Conference.
Top notch. So
guys that were drafted in the first round, Evan Neals and all of those boys.
It's crazy when you look at that and say, okay, you guys, you could have thrown Sam Williams out there a lot more with these types of looks, and then just ignored that and kept him and Fowler on the bench with their level of productivity in the time that they did play. It was just that didn't make any sense. And you could have still had Micah Parsons on the field with them and D-Law.
And to add to that, right? Like this notion that, well, I mean, like if Micah wasn't on the field, they weren't getting any pass rush. That is ridiculous. They had pass rushers on that team outside of Micah Parsons. They just didn't use them.
Hey man, the damn Bills looking at it like, what pass rush that we needed to stop? You know what I'm saying? And then the Green Bay Packers, they're looking at it like, shoot, we'll run the opposite way.
Run at them. Yeah, that's it.
So
Go ahead.
Do you guys think, like, I want to talk about the safety position for a second. How do you guys feel about the safety position? Because I actually feel really good about this position if they, decide to part ways with Jaron Kearse. Because, like, I was watching that Giants game again, and Wanye Thomas was all over the field in that game.
The first one or the second one? Both of them, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, in particular, the first one, like, he got in the slot, guarded.
Blocked a field goal, too.
Darren Waller. Wanye Thomas was everywhere against the Giants. And I don't know. I like the combination of him and Bell along with Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker. I think it's a balanced room because I think you have guys that can play on the roof like Wanye and Malik, and then you have more downhill, box type of safeties with Donovan Wilson and Marquise Bell. What do you guys think?
Well,
Go ahead.
when you look at Wanye and Izzy, right? Izzy, I think, is a guy that you can move back to either slot or just straight corner, and he'll be fine. And he's our best. Izzy is our best defensive back because he can play everywhere, right? Every position on the defense, slot, up top, in the box. You know what I mean? He can do what you ask Kearse to do and erase the tight end if you need him to, and he can play outside as well at a good enough level, right? So I think he's our number 1 overall DB because of flex. And then number 2 to me is Wanye, because Wanye can play sort of like Darren Woodson did. He's 6'3", damn near 220, can play in the box, bigger than Darren Woodson, can play in the box, can play up top, can also play in the slot, because you saw in that Carolina game he was guarding Thielen on his own. I got you 1 second, cousin. Yeah, he was guarding Thielen on his own. So when you look at a guy that's able to do that, I like what Wanye gives us in the safety room. And then when you look at Bell, Bell's just a box guy. I think Wanye can do the things you would ask Bell to do. I think he can do it. And he can do the things you would ask Hooker to do as well. So I look at Wanye and Hooker being your 2 top safeties, where I would rather Wanye close to the line of scrimmage right now because of his flex, and I would want Hooker up top, and then the other 2 guys, both Wilson and Bell, rotate in for the grunt work in early downs versus run and stuff like that.
Yes, indeed,
Hey,
man.
real quick, we got a super chat in here. $5 from Andre Robinson. Appreciate the super chat. We had enough depth to have a 5D line front with Micah at nickel, linebacker, and 5 DBs.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely is on the point right there. Dre, no football right there. Right now, we don't have a lot of depth inside, though, because Osa is our long-stay interior defensive guy, and he's a 3-tech. Outside of that, you have Mozzie. He's our only nose tackle that we have right now on this team, and he's our veteran leader. He's our veteran nose tackle right now, believe it or not.
Hey, he's not even the nose tackle. He's the backup 3 technique.
He's a three. He's a three tech, 1 tech guy now. You know, because Dan
Yeah.
Quinn broke him. You know, it's crazy.
Dan Quinn robbed all the resources from this team.
All right, because I'm trying to think. Was there anything on tape that screamed pass rusher from Mozzie?
Never.
Like, because when I watched his tape, I was like, oh, I really like this pick because, I think this is going to solidify our run defense.
Right.
And then it was definitely a point for them to try and make him a pass rusher. But there's nothing that pisses me off more than, oh, well, this guy does this really good. Let's try and turn him into this. Like,
Hey, he robbed all of our resources, man. We did. Hey, we got no depths at linebacker, no depths at defensive interior. Look, man, that's some sabotage trickery right there, man. On the fly, when you look at it, he robbed all of our resources.
Yeah, that was wild.
It didn't hit me until now. I'm just not.
How we don't got no linebackers? None.
And we got no interior defensive guys.
None.
Also, right now is our only interior guy because Navid Gallimore is gone, right?
Yeah.
And Mozzie. So yeah.
And then you got your guy. You got Chauncey. Chauncey's
yeah.
flex guy.
He flex
I
guy.
like Chauncey. I actually like Chauncey at defensive end more so, but they push him inside because he got that size to him. But
I don't think you think he's gonna beat out Junior though, Fihoko?
Beat him out. I think Fihoko is going to be a guy that you look at as more of a D-Law type, strong side defensive end, and you look at Chauncey as your guys like Tyron Crawford back in the day as a flex guy. He can move up and down the line of scrimmage. So I don't think it's about beating him out. I think it's just about getting to his number, and it's about what positions are you going to use him in to get him there. Because when you look at Zimmer's history, he likes large Carlos Dunlap type of defensive ends. He likes those guys. So I think Chauncey and Fihoko are stronger in this locker room. So is Sam Williams though. They're stronger in this locker room than they were last year because of what Zimmer likes.
And before you read that super chat, can I just tell Akoye to do this right quick for me?
Yeah.
There's one guy I had my eyes on, man, for a long time, but he's a scheme fit guy. He's not like a guy that can do it by himself, and he was cut the other day. But I'm thinking that dude, if he can stay healthy, he comes over here, he'll get right back into his mode. His name is J.C. Jackson. Look him up, man. He was a scheme fit guy. He played for the Patriots. He used to average at least 8 to 9 INTs a season. When it was time to pay him, he went over to the Chargers. That scheme.
That's number 27.
Yeah. Just do some investigation, man, on him, man. And I think that with Zim, he will fit right in like a glove here. And now you don't have to worry. And I know I like Gilly. I like him. But he old, man. You get J.C. Jackson, we can fit him right into the mold. He's cut. He's on the free market right now.
Hey, so we got 2 super chats in real quick.
Go ahead.
Uh-oh. He done got himself up out of here.
He cut himself off.
All right, he said Dan sold us out. How you stay zone when you've been playing man to man all year. The fuck. Yeah. Hey.
When I accidentally clicked like the back thing on my mouse.
And
I was like, as soon as I hit it, I'm like, oh, this is taking me somewhere that I don't want to go.
Right.
And then we got a $9.99 super chat from Otis. People want Dak gone, but before Dak got here, Dallas only made the playoffs 7 times in 19 years. For those that want him gone, what the fuck do we replace an all-pro quarterback with and get better? Be real. Oh, hold up. Unexpected, like a mixtape catch you at the crib if you're reading this too late.
Man. Cooper Rush time, baby, or Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Hey, cooking with that super chat, no doubt about it, man. Yeah.
Go ahead.
What were you going to say?
Now I was going back to we were talking about the defense. You were talking about J.C. Jackson for a second, but talking about the defense in general, like what Zim is going to do with these guys and what type of scheme he's going to run. It's one where I think that you have guys that are going to step up and give you the best of what they have. We weren't putting guys in position, in my opinion, to be the best version of themselves. We were asking guys to do, whatever Quinn wanted them to do, kind of fitting them to his scheme from a sense that like you do it the way I want you to do it, so to speak, versus let me build a scheme around what I have and what you guys might be best at. You know what I mean? So I hear them talking about, I'm reading them talk about Mozzie in the chat. And I'm like, when you look at a guy like him and say, what were his strengths? He was a wall that didn't get off, and he was immovable until he lost 30 pounds. So
Yeah.
I look at that and say that's what I think, Zimmer's going to get back to. And he's obviously going to, put an emphasis on linebacker. But his main claim to fame, honestly, and you hit it on the head, Law, is secondary. Like Zim is a guy that gets coverage sacks. His pass rushers, I know people say Daniil Hunter, but his pass rushers weren't the thing. They were getting pressure because of the amount of time quarterbacks were forced to hold the ball, because Zim shows you so many weird different looks and tries to make you play after the snap. It gives you an extra second or two to get to him. And we saw with that lack of press in the Eagles game what it meant to Micah Parsons when he's winning in half a second and the ball is still out. When you're dealing with Hurts at that, getting the ball out that quick is because you're not smothering the line of scrimmage, and that's what Zim's going to do. So a J.C. Jackson type of guy, Gilly even is fine with his Zim, because Gilly's not going to take. Zim's not going to take Gilly and put him 15 yards off the ball on a regular. He's gonna get him on the line of scrimmage and make him press and put him right in your face, but also give him help inside or over the top at times where the quarterback might not be expecting it, allowing Gilly to take different risks because of his understanding of the scheme.
Yeah. Somebody say go get Eddie, but I like Eddie Jackson, but I don't want him. He ain't gonna beat out Wanye. He ain't gonna beat out Wanye.
No.
He ain't gonna beat out Wanye though.
So I don't know about you guys. I like the fact that Mike Zimmer's on a 1-year contract. And I think because of that, I think he's been chomping at the bits to get back. And this is his last ticket in the NFL, to be honest with you.
Right.
So I think that this defense is going to go crazy next year. I really thought going into this season, personnel-wise, the Cowboys had everything that you needed in a defense. And I had really high expectations for the defense. And, it was a good defense, no doubt about it. But the problem was there were glaring holes, and they didn't address those glaring holes. And even when they did address it, the front office, when they brought in Rashaan Evans, Dan Quinn was like, nah, I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to roll with a 205-pound defensive back that everybody's just going to run at, all day. So, I do think that level of context needs to be added when it came to the defense. This is not a personnel problem with this defense. They have everything you need on that defense. It's just, is Zimmer a guy that's going to be able to utilize the talent to its best ability? I think he will be, which is why, when we talk about what's the difference between next year's team and this year and last year's team is going to be, I think a more consistent defense, to me, is something that I think we should expect as fans going into the next season.
Yeah, when you look at Zimmer's double A gap scheme, and when you look at the way he performed with the guys he had, I know people are going to argue with me, but I don't think his defense were better than our defense, but they weren't more talented than the players that we had. So his scheme was making those guys better, all of them. You know what I mean? I think he has a better safety room here. Yeah, Harrison Smith, which I think individually 1-to-1 is probably better than any guy that we have in the safety room, right? Because he can do a lot. But when you look at the entire room of 4 or 5 safeties, we have a better overall safety group. When you look at linebacker, obviously he's going to do something there. But when we got Barr, I think Kendricks is crazy talented. But when we had Barr, we looked at Barr like he's kind of limited. So I know he was injured when he came to us. But when you look at the things he was able to do with the Barr and get the best out of him, when you look at it, the way he sets up his defensive line and then his secondaries as well, I mean, I think that we have a lot of talent here for him to work with. And when talent meets skill and scheme, you get greatness. And I think we were relying solely on talent last year with Quinn. It's like if we were more talented than you, we would flood you. We got you out of here. We ran you off the court. But if you had a team where you were tough and physical and had an actual attack for that talent rather than saying, hey, we're going to still pass the ball even though we're dealing with the number one
Right.
pass rush in the league. No, we're just going to run, and do they have an answer for that? And we didn't have an answer when it came to scheme. It was just talent. We're going to out talent you. Even when you ask Quinn about it, like some of my press conference cringes were like when he would say, "Oh no, we just weren't tackling well." Like, come on, bro. They weren't tackling well because they're not in position to make those tackles well. You know what I mean? So, that's all scheme. But when you point at the scheme, you're pointing at yourself. When you point at tackling well, you're pointing at the player. And he would never point at himself. He'll say like, "Well, we got to do better. We got to do better." But it's not that hard to tell what was wrong with the team from the moment Overshawn went down. You knew what was wrong with this team, and to act like it was something that just came up all of a sudden in Arizona or in San Fran or in Buffalo or wherever, it's crazy. When you look at any moment that teams got off on us, it was because of the running game. Even when the Eagles had their moments, it was like run game. First game, run game. You know what I mean? We're doing certain things where they might not have ran up and down the field, but they got the ball into the end zone in crucial moments on the ground.
We played the Vikings in 2016, did we?
2016, 20, and 2020 too, right? Oh, you talking about did we play them back then? Yeah, we
Wait,
played them.
right there. You know the craziest thing about it? Even though we beat that team, they still gave us fits with Sam Bradford, man. And even on that roster, believe it or not, I'm looking at it, they had Terrence Newman on that damn team.
Yep.
That's crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
They had T-New on that team, and they still gave us fits, man. And you think of the Linval Joseph, you think of the Everson Griffin. They had Chad Greenway. They had Eric Kendrick. So a young Xavier Rhodes in that game. So and Andre Sendejo, you know what I'm saying? So they had guys, man, Harrison Smith. So we gonna be able to maneuver some things and get things going, bro.
Hey, to piggyback off something that Akoye said, there was nothing that pissed me off more in a press conference than when Dan Quinn went out there after that Bills game and said, "Oh, well, I mean, the reason why we let up so many yards on the ground is because we didn't tackle well enough." Okay, well, why didn't you tackle well enough? Because you were playing defensive backs as linebackers, bro.
Get your up there, contain the damn ball. This is why we do it. Too many missed tackles. Let's go. We're too damn soft.
We never heard. Look, he got them damn binoculars on way up there in the press box. Man, get your butt down there, man.
Bro.
Let people know.
I listened to that press conference, and I was like,
"Shut up, bitch."
Yeah. I even read like people talking about like who don't understand, obviously for whatever reason. I'm not attacking them in the sense that you don't understand football. It's not a hierarchy thing. Right. But it's just like when we say ultimate team sport, it means something. Because I see people saying Hankins wasn't that good, right? And Mozzie wasn't good. I've seen plays. I've watched every game multiple times. And when you look at a defensive line that, let's say, is containing a guy or forcing a cut, and there's no linebacker in that gap, or there's no linebacker funneling that traffic from hitting his right gap back into that defensive tackle, those defensive tackles don't do as much. So when you look at what Hankins was doing on the field, I watched him winning his reps, but you can win the rep, and then, if there's a back door or there's a linebacker that's not in position, or if that running back knows, I don't care what this defensive tackle does, I'm gonna press the gap to get him to, choose a gap, and then I'm cutting it back at his linebacker no matter what, because I know they can't deal with this offensive line that's getting to the second level at those guys. So I don't look at Hankins or Mozzie or Osa or even Chauncey as guys that weren't playing well. I look at it as if you don't have linebackers that set the tone, it doesn't matter how well you look in the front, because when you look at what we did to stop the run, it was only when we came out with 5-man fronts up front. So those were the guys when we did stop the run that were stopping the run. It wasn't the second level. So that's a big issue that they gotta address in the draft, man. And I can't wait for us to, just solidify that linebacker core, because I think that we have a lot of talent up front that are getting disrespected from some of the things that we didn't see on that second level.
Hey, yes, and I want to add something to that, right? Like Hankins is a good nose tackle, all right, but like he's, the disrespect that I saw on Jonathan Hankins this year, I didn't really understand it, because you're paying the guy like $1.5 million, right? And he's far outplayed his contract. Like, is this guy, Dexter Lawrence, Vita Vea, DJ Reader, Grover Stewart, is he on that tier? Like, no, he's not. But you're not paying him as a guy. So the production that you got from Jonathan Hankins this year, I think like he's a good player. I'd love to have him back on the team, whether it's as depth or whether it be your main nose tackle. I mean, the guy by no means was average or bad. Like, he was a good nose tackle.
And it's another fold to this, man. And
I want to get these super chats in.
Yeah. Go ahead and read the super chat out.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Great show, that Detroit game. Oh, Dwayne Brown, $10 super chat. Appreciate that. Great show, that Detroit game. Quinn put guys in position to help Detroit 10 yards off the ball. That's 30 feet.
Yeah.
We have a $4.99 super chat from Saiton Tropes. If they extend Dak, the freed up cap space needs to be spent on mid to high tier free agents that can turn weakness into a strength. Example, linebacker, defensive tackle, running back. I'm definitely on board, and I think maybe not at running back. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but definitely at those other positions. Really good defensive tackles can recreate the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. You can push. Put that up again one more time. Let me see what it said. Yeah, real good DTs can recreate the LOS. Okay, like push back the LOS.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, but with that, you got to have. And I'm not throwing any shade at Dirday. Aiden Dirday, salute to him.
Man.
And no shades at Scott McCurley and Darian Thompson.
I'm
gonna let y'all two be the villains, man. Y'all be the villains. But I talked to a certain trainer that's in this area, and they were saying, like, basically, man, when I get guys, I got to unteach what they done learned badly, and that's a bad thing. And I get it, Dirty, he's going off to be a DC, but anywhere else he wouldn't have probably got that type of opportunity. When you think of people like, I know a certain trainer that trained Justin Matabuke, right, on the off season on things that he needed to work on, improve far as his feet work, far as his hand placement and rips and disengagement. He said that, man, if you look at Mozzie, just look at Mozzie, not look at what he did this year. But let me tell you, if he fool around and get his hands on a true coach that know what the hell they doing, then you can get a Justin Matabuke. I'm not saying it, but he said it. And those are things that you got to do from a training situation. Mm-hmm. These guys, name me one person that from the defensive tackle or defensive line in general that got better since they've been here.
Thank you for saying that, man. I was like, come on, man. When you look at what Al Harris did to the defensive back room, you can see guys clearly getting better. Even when guys go down, you saw guys getting better, right? When you look at the linebacker room, that did not happen. And when you look at the defensive line, you had D-Law, who plays wild anyway, and he did his thing. But as far as getting better, taking a guy like D-Law and scheming him in the position to do more, no. Didn't have the Osa scheming him in the position, moving him around in the spots where he could be more effective. We didn't see that. We didn't see these guys using Chauncey the way Chauncey should be used, Hankins, and then what they did to Mozzie was a travesty. You didn't see any Fehoko at all. He's a 4th-round pick. You didn't get to see him. You know what I mean? Sam Williams is going backwards. He still looks like a rookie when it comes to his discipline. And Fowler, who was one of the most productive defensive ends when he got to play, him along with DA, they didn't get better either. I can't name one defensive lineman. Even Parsons, people think Parsons got better. I said, okay, they don't look at the numbers, but I'm like, he had 50% of his snaps at defensive end his rookie year and got you 13 sacks. He's gotten 70 and 80% of his snaps at defensive end years after and got the same amount of sacks. He got more pressure.
Yeah,
but he pass rushed more to get more pressure. It wasn't like he was more effective with the same amount of count. You know what I mean? So he didn't even. And then when you look at him versus the run, he didn't get better there either. So
Didn't get better.
nobody
Right.
got better than what they already were. Michael Parsons is crazy because we keep arguing about him being defensive player of the year. And if we're being honest, you're talking about a guy who's really 4 years removed from the cerebral part of the game, because at defensive end, he's relying on his athleticism. Last time he played linebacker was his 2019 season in college, and he wasn't learning anything as far as the cerebral part of linebacker his 4 years so far in the league. So
Right.
he's that good off of just talent.
Whew.
Just talent. You're talking about runner-up the defensive player of the year every year, just off talent. When that meets a coach that knows, hey, I'm going to funnel everything to you, or I'm going to show you, make the offense have to deal with you and show you how to use your technique, show you why you keep getting held, because you're looking at a guy who runs right into contact. He lets guys into his frame and lets offensive linemen get free punches on him and still get sacks. He run right through it, but he's not doing anything with his hands. So like if he even learned that, it's nice. It's lights out. Him and Sam, it's lights out. You can't deal with those guys if he has a guy who can teach in front of him.
What are Parsons? Look, I'm gonna ask you the question that he asked me. What are Parsons' moves?
He ain't got one. He's a stunter. He uses legs and he gonna run through you or around you, one or the other. And he has a little hop step, like where he sometimes that movie learned from D Ware, where he'll take his hands and he'll like kind of judo chop your elbow inside and take that outside shoulder. He does that. He had like one sack off of that. The 7 of his sacks came off of stunts in the B gap and the A gap. And the rest of them, he just ran right past you on the outside or out hustled you on the outside.
Yeah, so that's how he weighed on his sacks. So I'm not beating up Parsons. I like Parsons, but when he asked me that, I was sitting like, well, he do move his feet and he's fast and he got that bull rush that he hit you with surprise. He said he do hit you with the surprise, the bull rush.
We could put that up real quick. I got all of them right here.
All of his moves,
Yep,
so wait a minute. Mama Parsons, I love you. And also TP, man, Terrence Parsons, man, we right here with you, man.
hey, first off, right? So I was on a stream, Players Choice today. I was on there with TP. First off, I need to find me a girl that defends me as much as Terrence defends Dak, because man, I salute that loyalty. Second off, one thing like that they brought up, they asked Terrence, they were like, why is your brother
you mean Todd?
Yeah, Terrence.
Oh, you talking about which one?
Terrence Parsons.
Oh, yeah, Terrence Parsons.
We
Okay,
were on
yeah.
Players Choice earlier, and they asked him. They said, "Hey, why is your brother one of the worst run defending defensive ends in football?" I answered the question for him. I said because he is a linebacker, and Akoye, you said this before. Playing the run as a linebacker and playing the run as a defensive end are two completely different things, because a linebacker's instinct is to get downhill and attack the football, to where defensive ends, it's about setting the edge and funneling the work into a certain area, certain player.
Right. And keep it contained so that if it spills out, it's yours.
Right.
Yeah. Like Micah, I mean, Akoye, we went through the Dolphins tape with him playing linebacker. He was getting downhill and making plays against the run, because at the end of the day, Micah wants to be in a position to make plays. And something that Terrence talked about earlier that, I wanted to bring up was that, when people were asking Micah about linebacker and, why don't you play linebacker more? He was saying that the reason why Micah was defending Dan Quinn is because he felt like he had to stick up for his coordinator. So what I'm wondering is, did Micah actually want to play linebacker, and was Dan Quinn the reason why he didn't play that more?
Yeah, I never talked to you about that one, Akoye. Because
I would say, see, in the two choices, right, that you look at sound crazy. One, if Micah Parsons thinks like a linebacker because he is a linebacker, and when you look at his best play, his rookie year was because he played more linebacker. When you look at his best film and best tape as a football player, it was his 2019 season as a linebacker. And when you look at that and say, hey, let's just take the cap off and just do pass rush stuff with this guy, you know what I mean? That's already crazy enough. But when you say, hey, we did that because we lost D-Law his rookie year and we needed help. Right. Didn't we need help at linebacker?
We did.
So the same reason that you put him at edge, because that's where you needed the help, is the same reason you should have put him at linebacker, because that's where you needed the help this year. Now, if you wanted to make long-term plans and move him to somewhere else later, that's different. But where you needed the help was linebacker. So the question as to whether or not Micah Parsons wanted to or not doesn't matter. It didn't matter if he wanted to play defensive end, did it? Because we needed the help there, right? That's why he did it.
Now, Dan Quinn came out and said that basically, you know, he basically got lazy with it. He was very creative when he moved Parsons to that edge because he was trying to get him back to linebacker because he didn't want to get him hurt because of his size. So they yo-yoed him, right? And then the following year, he went on a tour and said, hey, I'm going to gain weight, right?
But he didn't.
He didn't. Right. He still, of course, you know, football weight is different, right? So he never gained that size and strength. And we've seen the whole year play out, but he played more percentages on the edge, right? And then this past season, this was the past season when he said he was going to gain more and more weight, right? The past season.
Right.
And we saw how that played out. Now, Parsons' words was that there were packages for him to play linebacker, but the man upstairs didn't put him in that spot or call those packages. And he was basically saying that it wasn't his fault.
Right.
Hey, and Law, that's great that you brought that up. Because when he says, hey, we had packages where I could have played linebacker, put that where you want to put it. He told you where to put it. He told you exactly where to put it. Because what I get from that is, all right, you know, if those packages aren't being called, I'm assuming that's coming from your coordinator. Right. So
it has no choice but to come from Dan Quinn. You're right. Like there's no doubt about that, man. Go ahead.
Hey, but no, I'm getting what he's saying. If I wanna make my resume look pretty, my resume would look pretty by me taking this guy named Parsons and getting Defensive Player of the Year, and also by me being this a genius of using Marquise Bell at linebacker and playing and winning all of these games. I think that Dan Quinn, to me, checked out. I think that he already foreseen that, hey, after this offense started rolling, he knew that for sure that Mike McCarthy was going to keep this team. Right. I think that if we were to end the season by week 5, Dan Quinn would have been the head coach here.
Yeah. And you know, it's crazy that turnaround that he had, because for Dan Quinn to fall from grace the way he did with 3-12-5 seasons is crazy too. But when you look at the things that he did when he came here, like he didn't. I look at patterns. I'm real good at patterns, right?
Right.
Dan Quinn's best defenses always had linebackers. Yeah, KJ Wright and Wagner. You know what I'm saying? He had Deion Jones and Oloku, right? Then he comes here, and you bring Neal with you, you know, to play linebacker, and then you run that back and follow it up with Marquise Bell. It don't make sense. That's not even in your. What was your stubbornness in relation to that? Because it was never in his MO before. So why did he do it when he came here? It doesn't even make sense. Like, it didn't make any sense to me, because he never did it before. None of his good defenses ever were devoid of good linebacker play. So it's like, you know, the importance of the position because you've done this before. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make any sense for him to come here with the experiment and do, you know, what he did. You know, it just didn't make any sense. Curse at middle linebacker. You had, you know, Wilson playing linebacker. You had Bell playing linebacker. You had Clark, who never looked like he knew where he was, playing linebacker. And before that, our savior was LVE, who in 5 years had 12 tackles for a loss. And then we got Evans here after he went down. And everyone says Evans wasn't good enough to play here. This is what the fans say, right?
Right.
And in 5 years of LVE playing, LVE has 12 tackles for loss, which is what Evans had in his last year in 2022 against with Atlanta. He had 10 tackles for loss. 56 in the same 5 years that LVE played. See what I'm saying? So that doesn't make any sense, man. Like, I'm gonna keep saying it every chance I get.
I mean, you banging it and bringing it on the table,
sense, man. Like, it's like,
I got a wild take. I got a wild take that is gonna make everybody say, "Oh man, you must be out your goddamn with my drop it." I got a wild take.
You must be out of your goddamn mind.
Here's my wild take. Damone Clark is going to be special this year. Under Mike Zim's defense. Watch. It's just my wild take right now because
Akoye ain't feeling that.
that's my wild take. I said wild, bro.
You're a wild boy.
I'm a wild boy, man. I think he's going to be
right?
special. I think he's going to be special. Break
I'm
it
going
down.
to tell you why. Like, even when you look at a guy like Mozzie, right, and you say,
Uh-huh.
hey, he didn't play well. When the guys are doing certain things on the field, you can see
Right.
what you can work with, right?
Yeah.
You're like, Mozzie didn't play well every game, but he had games where I'm like, oh, shit, oh, look at that. You know what I mean? He had moments where I'm like, I can work with that. Oh, do more of this. You know what I mean? Tell me the game where you saw Damone Clark play and say, we can build around this skill set right here.
It won't be. It won't be last year.
This right here.
You had to go to 2022. You had to go to 2022.
No.
Look at that. Look at that.
Show
Look at that
me
bear.
again.
Look at that Bears tape. Look at that Bears tape.
Oh.
Look at the Bears tape. Look at the Bears. I know you. See, I know you're a linebacker at heart.
Yeah.
So,
You
hey,
gotta show me more than one game, man.
hey. What
Yo.
Scout say? All you need is one game. What Scout
I
say?
haven't- this entire year, I ain't seen one play where I was like, if he wasn't there on that play, we wasn't making that play. I ain't seen him make one of them. I saw Bell do that a couple times, even though he
True,
was out of
but he was
position.
size. You know.
I never saw Clark make a play where it's like Clark blew that up. All right, Clark wasn't there. He blew that up by accident. He read it wrong. He read wrong sometimes, but when it's right, it looked good. No, nothing. Not a one. Nothing. Not one time you don't do that. No.
Yeah.
You had 100 tackles. I ain't see one play where it's like you made this play.
Watch what the difference what a coach would do if he gonna be able to get this brother.
Look like something, man. You better
Contain the damn ball.
If he make it look like something, he already won in my book. It's like you already ace. If you can make Clark a good linebacker in this league, I will listen to anything.
You listen to anything. So I'm hedging my bets, man. He got the great
You a
33.
wild boy,
He got the great 33 jersey. Matter of fact, if it do hit, I got a jersey for you, man. So you can put it on 33.
It might hit. I'm just saying. I don't think it's gonna hit.
Hey, so
It might hit though. Wow.
we're gonna read these super chats and get out of here. But yo, Law, Damone Clark now he's gonna take the James Washington of Damone
Clark, you know.
to the James.
You gonna be mad at me, man.
Hey, y'all gonna put it on me, man, because he got that 33 on, man. He gonna have to represent, man. Come on, do it for 33. Come on, Damone Clark.
Oh man, that's funny.
That's a wild take, though. That's a wild take.
Had the James Washington on him. All right, so we got Stephen Poe with another super chat, $4.99. We appreciate that. What will Zimmer do with Clark, Overshown, Fowler, endurance, cut or keep? So I'll start off with this one. I think Clark and Overshown will be on the team, and I don't think Fowler is going to be on the team, nor do I think Dante is going to be on the team.
Dorrance. Yeah, I think Fowler is mad because he didn't get the playing time he should have gotten with his level of production. He could probably see something else elsewhere. I think they would probably benefit from having him back, but I don't know if he'll come back outside because Fowler can be a 10-sack guy somewhere else if they let him start. He can start and give you 10 sacks, 8 to 10 sacks easy, just off of talent alone. But so I don't know if he comes back. But the other two are going to play. I think Overshawn is going to be a guy that he uses like Kendricks because he has good range and aggressiveness, sideline to sideline. And Clark is going to be a backup. I don't think Clark is going to start here.
You think Overshawn going to be the weak side? What do you see out of Overshawn?
I think he's a Kendricks, your will linebacker. He needs a more – he likes middle linebackers like Barr who are more like, or Burfict who are like more like hammers. They play like, they play strong side or Sam style linebacker, get downhill, meeting guards before the trap and sealing stuff, spilling stuff back to their smaller guy. Because when you looked at Barr and Kendricks, Barr was the hammer and Kendricks was like just the cleanup crew, you know what I mean, and cover guy. So it's going to be, I think, Overshawn, your Kendricks type of player, and he's going to go get us a guy that can be that anvil for him as well, and also use Parsons in that role sometimes too.
Yeah, I don't see Mike being on his team right now, right? So it's going to happen as far as draft.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously going to draft one. There's nobody on the team right now that can be that hammer for you. So he's going to draft one, but I think he's also going to rotate Parsons in that position too. You don't look at a guy like Parsons, his ability. He got 7 sacks. 7 of his sacks were from the A gap. You don't look at that and say, I'm never going to put him there. I just don't. That would be a mistake if you just sit down at Zimmer and just football common sense and just watch Micah Parsons' film and say, how can I create the most disruption with this guy? And if there ain't no way that you come up with just edge. There's no way. No way. If you do, then God bless you.
Yeah.
We got another super chat here.
Dre.
From Andre Robinson, $10. Appreciate the super chat. Great run defense requires complementary parts, unselfishness, and will. The man next to you has to be in lockstep with run fits, funneling the ball carrier to punishment, just like the movie 300.
Because there's my song.
This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
Yeah, you got to hold them and fight, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's good. That's a great super chat by Dre, though. You know, he's right on the money.
He brought the fire with his super chats, man. Law, you got some great super chats here, man. Akoye, you got some great super chats in here as well. Fellas, it was an honor working with you guys.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I was on the big stage with you guys. I've been in the minor leagues now. I had to graduate to the big stage with you guys. You know what I'm saying? So I hope I held my own up here. But this is definitely something we're gonna have to do again, guys.
Oh, anytime, man. Like I said, like you guys both bring good energy, and like I said, anything long, I'll jump on anyway.
Man,
so,
come on, man. I just
fly out there too, Law. I still got to meet you in the flesh, man.
Man,
so
hell yeah, that's weird. I haven't met you yet, man. You're the only one I haven't met yet. I believe.
Yeah, we got a link. We got a link.
Me as well. What am I out of this, man?
Hey,
we that Philly product, man. Both of us that Philly product.
Both of
so
y'all,
we both
right
got
down
to
the
fly
street.
out there. Yeah, we got to fly out there.
Yes,
man,
indeed,
you got to
man.
come over
on
here,
down.
Law, if you want to.
Oh, hey,
Oh,
man,
that's
somebody
for sure.
tell me I got to come over to Philly, man. I got a lot of people that follow me and watch me over there on that side
I
of the
actually was
world.
going to call you yesterday about Natchez. I'll hit you offline. I was going to hit you about Natchez because it's a spot that I want to see. That's a historic spot called like the Devil's Punch Bowl.
Oh yeah,
know what that is?
hit me up. Don't go at night though. You know.
I want to check that out.
Hey, what happened to Akoye?
Swallow them.
He got.
Hey, when soon as Law comes out, we'll take him to Kensington. You know what I'm saying?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring Lord of zombie apocalypse land.
Wow, man, y'all got that area
I
too.
got a funniest story, bro. So this was when I was in like the 8th grade. My friends were in a basketball league in Kensington. I had no idea what
That's like
Kensington was.
not a good idea.
And so they're like, yo, we need an extra guy. And I'm like, yeah, let's go, man. I'm ready, man. And then we go to the most ran down gym I'd have ever seen in my life. We roll up and bro, when I tell you, they was like grown men. We lost by like 40. I'm like, what the hell am I doing in this league?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, we were just like a bunch of shooters. So you know what I'm saying?
Nah, it's a different ball game. And then even with basketball, it's like crazy here, but it's like a different ball game here when it come to Kensington, man. Kensington, you already know, and I see it all the time. But you drive past people. I'm dead serious on this. Me and my fiance just drove past this guy who had like what you call like alligator arm or something like that. Like an abscess on his arm.
Dang.
He pulled the skin off his arm and was walking across the street, leaking his whole arm, just going. But he not like running like this is an emergency.
He just walking casually.
He looked at us like, mind your business and what are you looking at? You know what I mean? But his arm was like when I say leaking, I'm talking leaking. And he wasn't running nowhere. He was standing on the side of the street like that was something normal. So I'm like, this is crazy down here. Kensington crazy, man.
Man,
Kensington's
that's crazy.
But yeah, Devil's Punch Bowl, I want to see it. So I'm coming to Natchez for that.
Yeah, come on down, man. We got another super chat on our way out, man. Ratio Cowboy says thanks for the show, gents, man. Appreciate you, man, for your support,
bro.
bro.
Coming out.
Yeah, man.
Hey, you know what time it is, man. It's time. You know what I'm saying?
You got some outro. We got some outro. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Peace, fellas.
Come on. Hey.
Y'all love this song right here, man.
I love it, man. I heard what you said about the inspiration part of it. What inspired him.
Hey,
The wire.
I didn't make the beat. I can do it like this, man. If I wanted to. Man, I'm a terrible dude. Yo, Law, you
Yeah.
got some too?
Yeah, man. It's
All right,
dope
well-
right here.
Walk the fuck. I got that as well. But, yo, all right, please.
Salute.
Hey.